I love that fucking CEOs are fucking afraid right now. You should be.
Bill Burr, one of my favorite comedians, has some things to say about private health insurance as well as the media coverage following the events of the United Healthcare CEO and the subsequent arresting of the suspect. Though this was recorded, I believe, the same day, probably just before the Luigi Mangione was arrested. But I'm going to play for you a couple of these clips as well as get to some other context around the news in terms of what he discusses here. This is, I got to say, Bill Burr is one of the only comedians of his stature that has been able to maintain a working class perspective. I'm looking at someone like Joe Rogan, who is not the same person as he once was. But despite the fame and the money, Bill Burr manages to still keep a disposition about him that I think few people in his space really hold. But let me get to the first clip.
You know what's annoying me about this kid who killed this CEO is none of these news programs are talking about the incredible lack of empathy from the general public about this because of how these insurance companies treat people when they are at their most vulnerable, after we've all given them our money every fucking month, and now we finally need you, and all you do is deny us. And then these pussies and all of these things are taking the pictures of their CEOs off their websites. You know, I got to be honest with you, okay? I love that fucking CEOs are fucking afraid right now. You should be. By and large, you're all a bunch of selfish, greedy fucking pieces of shit, and a lot of you are mass murderers. You just don't pull the trigger. That's why it looks clean. That's why these people look, oh my God, oh, he was just, walking into a hotel. It's like, okay, but what was his job? What did he do? What was the results of it?
All right, Bill Burr, not holding back there. But I gotta say, I'm not sure what he's talking about. I'm seeing the news headlines, places like the San Francisco Chronicle with their headline here. The recent killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in Manhattan has brought renewed attention to the escalating costs of protecting top executives. Did a clown write this headline? Unbelievable. Now, I'm going to get to a few more examples here. To be, I guess, fair, there has been a little more discussion in media about, the insane for-profit healthcare system, but there has been a lot of scolding of people's reaction to the news. I would say more so than there has been a real deep discussion and critical discussion of how the healthcare system operates. There is a way, before I get to more examples, there's a way for media to thread this needle. It really isn't all that hard. Vigilante justice is not the solution to a systemic problem that is rooted in corporate money corrupting politics, which includes, of course, healthcare policy. Understanding why and how something like this can happen in a system where people feel so powerless is not to excuse it, is to simply explain it so that we can get to a better discussion about the actual real solutions at the heart of the problem. But there has been a lot of scolding and very little introspection about how corrupting money has led to a system in healthcare that is absolutely disgusting. Again, this is coming from a Canadian that is viewing this from the outside and seeing how wild it is, just from my perspective, how wild American healthcare is compared to whether it's Canada, whether it's the UK, which, by the way, we all got our issues. Of course, there is no perfect healthcare system. A lot of the issues with our systems come down to underfunding. It's not that there's a lack of private options, which would make things worse. It's that there isn't the funding necessary to make it as good as it can be. At the same time, there are things I simply don't have to worry about, like losing my job, because healthcare is not part of my job. It's just there because I pay through it with my taxes. Worries about in-network, out-of-network doesn't exist. Discussions with insurance companies don't exist. Never have happened in my entire life. I had surgery once. There was a short waiting period because it was a elective surgery, about 3 months. Had the surgery, no payment at the end of it. I got the surgery, went home. It was fine. Like, there are things that I just take for granted that clearly a lot of Americans don't. And the fact that you grew up in this system, I think has led to a lot of people simply just not realizing that there are much better ways and sort of just like accepting that healthcare sucks and not realizing how much better it can be. But that gets to a couple more examples here from media. So this is New York Post. Don't forget, the Murdochs run this, as well as a lot of conservative media. So there's a certain perspective that some of the richest people in the world are going to have and impart in their media. But New York Post here, on one hand, you have Daniel Penny, who killed a homeless person, saying enough is enough, uh, basically celebrating the fact that this guy was let go. Meanwhile, Target CEOs revealed chilling manifesto of health insurance boss killer. Like, just right on the front page, you see the differences. Homeless guy, perfectly fine. CEO, oh, chilling manifesto. The differences here in how they cover this is so clear. This is another very clear example from another Murdoch outlet here. This is Fox News. This is a quick 30-second clip, but look at how things shift.
We'll dig into it later. The Instagram posts from nutbag people, which I was sent in the commercial break earlier, crazy. Like, he's cute, and people celebrating this. This is a sickness. Honestly, it's so disappointing, but I guess we shouldn't be surprised. Gentlemen, thank you so much. And up next, the other big news out of New York, Daniel Penny. A lot of people think he's a hero, and tonight he's not guilty. My take next.
What an amazing 30 seconds that perfectly sums up how corporate news operates. On one hand, oh, it's a sickness that people celebrating this. Up next, the hero that killed a homeless guy. There you go. I got one more clip from Bill Burr here. He goes on with some more.
And I tell you, it's really annoying how hard they're trying to find this kid that shot that guy. Okay? How much they're trying to solve that fucking crime, where if it was just some regular fucking jerk walking in there, are they trying that hard? I know they're trying to solve it. I'm not shitting on the cops here, but I'm saying that the political pressure would not be there. I guess one fucking healthcare person, company, like they only covered anesthesia for a certain amount of time. Do you realize how fucking evil that is? Like, they sit in meetings and have that. And now they're like, no, we'll cover it for the whole. Oh, you're going to cover the whole operation? Is that what it is? I don't have to wake up halfway through a fucking appendix removal? I feel like if the motive is what they're saying, it was inevitable. There's only so long that you can go around doing that and treating people that way, in the evil way that they treat people, before somebody's going to retaliate and get the right person or the wrong person, because I don't know anything about that guy. I'm just saying.
All right, just worth noting there, I did cut that down a little bit, as well as I took out some of the swearing. If you want to hear the real thing, just go listen to Bill Burr's podcast. I'm amazed that on YouTube right now, this only has, just on YouTube, only has 28,000 views. I'm sure he gets more in audio form, but worthwhile listen. Bill Burr, I think is one of these people that is willing to go places that a lot of people in his position are not. One more thing on what he said there. So just since he brought up the anesthesia, in case you're wondering what that was about, there was a company that, in the wake of the news, I'm not sure if it's because of it, but in the wake of the news, insurance company halts plan to put time limits on coverage for anesthesia during surgery. This is the kind of rot at the heart of the healthcare system. This is what happens when you have a for-profit motive in healthcare. What's prioritized is not your health. It's money. It's profits for these companies. So that, I hope, is the discussion that continues to come out of what happened, as a way to just understand why people are reacting the way they are in terms of the reaction to this news. Why people are so frustrated with a for-profit healthcare system. I hope that discussion continues, and I hope politicians take note, and the Democratic Party, if they want to win back some people, grab on to single-payer healthcare, at the very least. This is an issue that a lot of people are motivated by, and it's worth having a greater and continued discussion about this, not just during an election, but an actual discussion on how to transform the healthcare system into one that actually prioritizes people and healthcare.